All right, I think we're ready to start. We are live. I can see we're live. I can see we're recording. I'm going to hopefully get it. Oh, I've just got a text message. Nothing yet. Anyway, we're gonna push on because there's usually about a 10-second delay. Welcome to week 4 assembly. It's a bit weird doing this live stream, but we know that everyone's in their classes, and hopefully this is happening right now. Still nothing from. On now. Okay, we're going. All right, so welcome to week 4. We're doing the assembly live stream and everyone's in their classes. So we've got a few guests off screen and we're going to introduce them in a second. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge that we're meeting on traditional lands, and I'd like to pay respects to Aboriginal elders past, present and future. First of all, thank you to parents for your support around COVID-19. It's hopefully we're not far away from seeing normality back, but it's great to have people dropping and going. We've still got a few parents that just hang around, so if you could just drop and then move on, that'd be fantastic to be able to see people adhering to those rules. So thank you very much. We've got a newsletter coming home tomorrow, and it's your opportunity to have a say in a potential change to our jumper. So I've got our model off screen. Sienna, come over here. And you can stand over here. Just watch out for the boom mic that Max is doing. So this is the new uniform, and there'll be a logo like this logo up here. But this is the design that Governing Council have proposed, and we're looking at. Do you want to do a bit of a spin for everybody? And then we've got a yellow hood as well. That's important. And so thanks, Sienna. So if you'd like to have a say in the uniform, it's on our Facebook page. There's a form on there, a survey on there. You can have a look at. We'll attach it to this post. And also, it'll come out in the newsletter tomorrow. There is a short turnaround time because we want to get this ready for next term. So if you can get your feedback into us, that'd be fantastic. But while you're there, Sienna, I'm going to do my story. So can you hold this up? It's a bit like a thermometer. Can everyone see that? Yeah, you can't say anything because you're the other side of the screen. So this is our thermometer, and we generally go from 1 to 10, and we want to stay around the 1 to 5 mark. And when I talk about thermometer, it's the way we feel. So it could be things like if we're feeling anxious, or we're feeling angry, or we're feeling sad. They're all feelings that generally we experience throughout the day, but generally we don't like staying in those states. That sometimes happens up here around the 10 mark. So I want to give you an example of, I've had a few conversations with some students over the past few days, and this is how their day's gone. They wake up in the morning, it's nice and toasty in bed. Mum's yelling at them, get out of bed, or Dad, get out of bed. Oh, I don't want to get out of bed. And they start to go up the thermometer. So now they're about here and they haven't even got out of bed yet. They're taking their time. They don't want to brush their hair. Brush your hair. No, I don't want to brush my hair. Mum's getting frustrated. Dad's getting frustrated. They've got breakfast ready to rock and roll. No, I'm not doing that. Uh-oh, they're jumping up the thermometer. How you going, all right? Yeah, good. Jumping up the thermometer a little bit higher, and it's only like 7:30 in the morning and already they're at a 5. Thinking, oh, that isn't great. They rock up to school, their seat's been changed because that's just what happens on a Monday morning, and they don't want to sit in that seat because it wasn't the same as last week, and they like sitting next to Max because he's a superstar, but now they can't. Isn't that right, Max? Yep.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Now they're on 7, and it's only like 9 o'clock in the morning. And then they get into, they have recess, and Mum and Dad have packed them Vegemite sandwich, and they don't like Vegemite sandwich. You can't complain if you make your own recess because that's your fault. But then they're upset again, and they're at 9 or 10, and it doesn't. You're right. Yeah, good. And it doesn't take much before they're going to blow their top. And all it could be was someone at recess or lunchtimes looked at them wrong, or just said hello the wrong way, or didn't say hello to them, and they have exploded. Now, in the meantime, everyone else sees this huge explosion and think, oh, but all they did was not say hello properly and they've completely exploded. There are strategies. We don't need to be up here. It's an uncomfortable feeling to be up here. So there are things that you can do to get yourself back down. First of all, listen to mum and dad in the morning. That's always nice. Get out of bed, brush your hair, eat your breakfast, come to school. Because I don't know about you, but I get really cranky if I don't eat properly. So in the morning, that's the first start. The second thing is you need to make sure that if you're feeling up here, what's some strategies you can do? Deep breathing is a good one. Sit down, have a few deep breaths. And what that does is it ends up taking one of these arrows away and you feel a little bit lower. Counting back from 5, that's another really good strategy. Singing a song is a good one. I've heard people just sing a little song in their head. That sometimes helps. Focus on things around you. If you're up here and you're really, really agitated or you're getting really, really silly, sometimes you might just go, I'm going to focus on that bird outside and just focus on that. And it takes your mind away from all the things that upset you that's higher up there as well. Or you might just want to go for a brain break and head outside. They're all things that we do to get down here because it'd be really nice if we were sitting on a 4 rather than a 10. My story is a story because I've had this conversation with about 10 kids in the last week. This is what we need to practice and this is what we need to work on. Thanks, Sienna. You can go off screen now. That was great. Now, I'm going to introduce you to our school captains. We've got Alex and Michaela. Now, Michaela nominated at the start of the year to be a student leader. And what she wanted to do was she wanted to get some professionals or some people that work in our community and interview them at assembly. Well, obviously, we're not at assembly. We're over in the library at the moment, but we've still got a special visitor coming in. So I'm going to introduce the special visitor at the moment. Her name is Danni Wilson. She's got the last name as me. How fun is that? And we're not brother and sister. So do you want to come over here, Danni Wilson? And school cap, come on, Danni Wilson. Over here, thank you. Hi, Danni, how are you?
Well, thank you.
Fantastic. Okay, guys, come over here. We got school leaders. Go for it. Over to you.
So today we are very lucky to be interviewing the one and only Danni Wilson. So would you like to introduce yourself and say what you do?
Yeah. Thanks for having me today, guys. I'm a pharmacist, so I work in a pharmacy.
Yeah. What skills are required for a pharmacist and what responsibilities do you have?
So as a pharmacist, the main thing that I do is look after people's medicines. So what we try to do as pharmacists is to help sick people get better and to help healthy people stay healthy, mainly with medicines, but there's lots of other things that we have at the pharmacy to help people stay healthy as well.
Did you have to go to a university to become a pharmacist?
Sure did, yeah. I had to study for 5 years to become a pharmacist. 4 of those years were at uni, and the last year, the 5th year, was an intern year. So it was a training on the job year. So I worked, some people work in a pharmacy. I worked in a hospital, but you work on the job as your final learning year.
Yep. What do you enjoy about your job?
I like lots of parts of my job. Helping people get better is probably the best thing, and keeping people healthy, like I said before. Probably one of the newer ways that I like to do that I've liked to do that lately in the last few years is through, we have these things in the pharmacy called a meds check, and what that does, people can come into the pharmacy or we can do it over the phone now. And we run through all the medicines that people take. Sometimes it can be very confusing when you're on lots of different medicines. Sometimes it can be confusing when you're only on one medicine. And what we do is we go through all of the medicines somebody takes, work out what they're all for so that the person knows why they're taking all the medicines and how they all work. And then if there's any problems, we can work together to try and sort them out for them. So that's a free thing that we do in the chemist, and the government actually pays the pharmacy money so that we can do that, because they're so useful and so helpful to people.
Very cool. Do you work with other people or by yourself?
I work as part of a big team. So if you've ever been into a pharmacy, you'll see there's lots of different people in there, and everybody's doing a different job to help the pharmacy run.
What do you see the most challenging aspect of your job?
Oh, the most challenging. Well, I've been working in pharmacy now for about 20 years. Probably the thing that I found the hardest, particularly at the beginning, was learning Latin. So Latin is a language that's not spoken on the earth really anymore, and hasn't been for hundreds of years, but a lot of the prescriptions that are written, so when the doctor or the other prescribers write out the medicines that they want a patient to use or a person to use, sometimes they use Latin, so they use this old-fashioned language. It's a bit like Italian, and sometimes that was a bit tricky to learn the different numbers and the different words.
Why did you choose to work as a pharmacist?
When I was at school, I really liked science. And I really liked helping people. And so I thought that pharmacy was a good way of combining those two things. I didn't really want to be a nurse or a doctor because I don't really like blood. I don't really like operations and that sort of thing. And as a kid, I was really squeamish and I didn't like that sort of thing. So I thought pharmacy was a good option.
How has COVID-19 changed the way you work on a daily basis?
Well, COVID's changed a lot of things in pharmacy, like it has in lots of different professions. We do a lot more cleaning than we used to. So pharmacies have always been quite clean places, but now we do even more cleaning because lots of sick people come into pharmacies. So sometimes people who might have potentially had COVID would come into the pharmacy, so we had to make sure everything was cleaned regularly. The other big change that we've had is generally prescriptions come in on paper. You've probably seen prescriptions in the past, but now a lot of the prescriptions are coming on email or fax, which has changed things as well. Probably the other thing is a lot of the medicines and other bits and pieces that we buy into the pharmacy have been really hard to buy, like for us to get into the chemist through COVID. Sometimes we've had to limit what we can give people. So kids Panadol has been hard to buy, so we've only been able to sell one bottle of kids Panadol to people. Asthma puffers have been really hard to buy, so generally people get 2 asthma puffers at a time, but we've only been able to do 1. All of that sort of settled back to normal now, but it was quite tricky there for months.
Well, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. And it's back to you, Mr. Wilson.
Thanks,
Sure.
girls. Thank you.
Look at that. What a great transition. We've got people in the community coming in and talking about that. So the next thing is Michaela and Alex, they're going to keep working on this because I think it's something that it's going to improve their skills to interview. The other thing is we're setting up a podcast room. So Mr. D's on that. It's all secret business in Mr. D's office, but he's setting up a podcast room where we'll be able to interview people similar to that, and we can put it out on our own podcast channel or on our YouTube channel. So that's really exciting. But the question's now over to you. Who would you like to hear from at our next assembly if we were to do another interview? I think it's really important to know. So have a chat to your teacher, or if you're watching this at home, from a parent's point of view, you can, because everyone's back at school now, so that's great. But if you're watching this at home, then you might want to put something in the comments about who you'd like to see interviewed next. Perfect, 15 minutes. That wraps up this week's assembly. I reckon we might look at seeing if we can get the values back into the next fortnight's assembly. We might be able to get some teachers, so we can call out some students' names. That'll be really cool as well. See if we can get back to normality. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for your support, and look forward to hearing from you soon. See ya.